So I wanted to talk with everyone about this particular subject because it comes up a lot. What do I do with my current house is I can't buy another home. It's a hard market to buy an investment or replacement property in. So do I hold on to my current property or do I do something else? So this is one option. It's not the only option, but it's one of the options. So right here, I've got house number one, house number two. Let's say we have two houses, you're an investor, you own two homes, and you paid, let's say, $80,000. This is close to something that I'm personally aware of as far as an actual transaction. I'm just kind of rounding up the numbers and stuff. But at $80,000, if you owned both of them free and clear, or either way, you would have $160,000 into that investment. That investment is going to bring in $2,100 a month. The rentals on that are $2,100. $1,000 for one, $1,100 for the other one, and that is a total of $2,100. And the gross operating income on that is a 1.3% return. So there's a rule out there that a lot of people. I'm going to switch sides real quick, but a lot of people have something called the 1% rule. You'll hear this in investing circles a lot. And basically what that means is that if you're gonna buy a property, you're gonna pay $80,000 for something, you're gonna wanna get at least $800 a month for rent. $800 a month for rent would only be $1,600. In this case, we're getting $2,100, so it's getting more than that 1% rule, which for California, would right now, physically not possible. But back then, when we bought that property originally, it was that way. And right now you'd be getting a 1.3% return, so significantly above the 1% rule, which is great. So on that note, I want to show what you could do and what you might think about as far as an investment goes on this. And that is this. Let's say that property has gone up over the years in value, and certainly right now everything has. I'm going to switch sides again real quick. Right now we're looking at $225,000 of value. When we had 80 in it originally, 225, 80 originally. So we actually have $450,000 tied up in this property now, or these two properties. Still getting the same rent. Rent hasn't gone up that much. And we could probably bump it a little bit. Let's say it is $2,100 a month. That is a 0.45% return. So not even a 0.5%. Where this was getting 1.3%. So the return is more than double as good here. So based on the purchase price, the return, my pin stopped working, 1.3%. And the current value is 0.45%. So I don't know why that's not working right there. So I got another pin. Thank you. So anyway, so 1.3% and 0.45% based on its current actual value right now. So if you take this based on so what if you did, let's see you sell these properties and you can't buy another property for this or another property that makes sense at the 1% rule. So you can go in and let's say you could take this 450 and you could make, let's say 8% on a passive return basis. So let's do some math real quick. 2,100 times 12, you're talking about $25,000, 200 annual gross operating income. If you take 8% of 450, that's $36,000. Okay, so I think most of us would say, I would rather have $36,000 than $25,000, right? That just makes sense. So that's just the surface of that. This return is after all the expenses and stuff. So let's say this is passive too, by the way. So this is a passive form of income. All of us that have rentals, you know that a rental property, 1 or 2 at a time, 3 at a time, is definitely not passive. They call you when the toilet's running. They call you when the landscaper didn't do what they were supposed to. They call you when the light goes out or when the refrigerator's not working, all these different things, right? So you have all these expenses. I'm gonna come over here. All these expenses for updates, maintenance, repairs, landscape, trash, water, all these things, all these expenses you have to come out of this $25,000 number. It's still a good number, especially when you base it on 160,000 in. But if you take your 450 and you put it into this sort of an investment here, now we're talking about bringing in $36,000 annually. And how much expenses are with this? None. This is after all of that. So all these expenses right here, on average, are going to average somewhere around 45%. So, not including, by the way, your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So if you have a mortgage payment on this, you're going to pay for your mortgage, you're going to pay interest on that mortgage, principal, interest, taxes, you're going to pay property taxes, and you're going to pay interest, right? So all of those things you're going to pay: principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Insurance, that last night. So anyway, you're going to pay that. So even if you paid off the principal, and even if you paid off interest, you still have taxes and insurance on that. Where on this one, there's no tax, you'll pay a different kind of tax, income tax. That's not this. This is property tax here. So if you take, let's say 12,500, just roughly split it in half, or let's call it 12,000. Oops, yeah, $12,500 in income now, say NOI or net operating income. This is not a real number, but just to give you an idea, you're gonna take all these expenses out and you're gonna have a net operating income number. And that is now something 45% of what this was. That might be 13 or 14,000, whatever it might end up being. Either way, it's not even close to the 36,000 that you have here. So what I tell people is that if you have two houses and you have the opportunity to sell them now in this high market that we're in, why not take them and move that money into a passive investment where you can make 8%. Now maybe make 6% or 7%, some other number like that. But still, when you look at the number, the math again, if you take here, compare it to $12,000, your rate of return is so much better if you do it this way. So that's just kind of the quick rundown. I don't know what else I wanted to say about this other than, why not sell your property now and invest it into and this could be, by the way, this could be any number of things as a quick note. I do apartment buildings most of the time, but so if you look at buying into, you have an interest in an apartment building, let's say it's apartments, and you're earning a rate of return, and then in 3 or 5 years from now, they're going to possibly sell that property at a profit, and then you'll get even more than this on the rate of return. There's some tax benefits and stuff too I can't really get into here, but just to give you an idea, even at 6% return, which is on the low side, 450,000 at 6% is still $27,000. A little bit more than this, a lot more than that, more than double what that number is. So DM me or message me here on Facebook or YouTube with your questions on this and see if you can poke some holes in it. I'm glad to take a look at it. Or if you have an interest in possibly selling your property, of course, we can help with that too. Thank you.